Tonight, Lebanon accuses Israel of war crimes and of deliberately targeting journalists. That's as friends, family and colleagues of Amal Khalil paid their last respects after she was killed in an Israeli airstrike.
We lost a beautiful human being. We lost a very important woman for us.
She was killed while seeking shelter in a double-tap attack. As her government demands an international inquiry, I'll speak to a colleague who knew her well. Plus, Tehran or Washington, who's winning the battle for the Strait? And why has Donald Trump issued a shoot-to-kill order for Iranian mine-laying boats? More money, more riot police, more drones. But will a new migration deal between the UK and France stop small boat crossings? And he's been in an Israeli prison for 24 years and has become a symbol of Palestinian resistance. I'll speak live to the son of Marwan Barghouti. All of that coming up on The World with me, Barbara Serra. Good evening, I'm Barbara Serra, and this is Amal Khalil. She's a journalist, 43 years old. Yesterday, she was reporting from southern Lebanon when a car traveling ahead of her was hit. She and her colleagues sought shelter in a nearby building, and then another missile strike. 7 hours later, her body was recovered from the rubble. Amal is one of 9 journalists killed by Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon this year. And that's why the Lebanese Prime Minister has accused Israel of crimes against humanity. We asked the IDF to speak to us tonight. They didn't reply. So instead, we'll hear from Amal's friend and colleague about how dangerous it is to be a journalist in Lebanon at the moment. And with Donald Trump set to join a second round of talks between both sides at the White House, we will be live in Washington. But let's begin in Amal's hometown, where her family gathered this afternoon for her burial. Our international correspondent, Diana Magnay, sent us this report.
This is a bitter moment for many people in Lebanon. For Amal Khalil's family, her friends and colleagues, but also for all those who had followed her journalism over the years. Hundreds coming to pay their respects at her funeral, to show their pain at her loss, and to honour her commitment to telling the story no matter the price. Her press vest held up high above the coffin, a symbol of her bravery, and a spontaneous moment of applause. Earlier in Beirut, fellow journalists, media from around the world, gathered to protest the killing of one of their own by Israeli forces.
She was the voice of the South, really. She was telling us about the stories of the communities. She went where a lot of people were too afraid to go. We lost a beautiful human being. We lost a very important woman for us, but we also lost a source of accurate information and reliable information on the suffering in the South and on violations and on war crimes.
Do you think that Israel deliberately targeted her?
Yes, absolutely, because she was threatened lots of times from the very first in October when they started in Gaza.
A year ago, Khalil had spoken on a podcast about the threats that she was receiving.
I received direct threats on my phone from Mossad and the Israelis. They threatened me with death threats, literally saying, "We will separate your head from your shoulders if you do not leave the south."
Khalil and a journalist colleague, Zainab Faraj, had been driving near Al-Tiri, currently under Israeli occupation. The vehicle in front came under attack, and the women took cover in a nearby building, alerting contacts to their location. Then that building was hit by an airstrike. Faraj was rescued, severely injured.
There was a ceasefire. That's what we were told. We were told there was an army up there.
The emergency teams then came under fire. It took several hours for them to secure access to the site, and by the time they found her, Khalil was dead. The deliberate targeting of journalists is a war crime. Israel says that it doesn't target the media, but the numbers tell a different story. Look at Gaza. More than 200 Palestinian journalists have been killed there since October the 7th, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. And the numbers are rising in Lebanon too. The IDF says it is reviewing the incident and that it believes that the vehicles posed an imminent threat. You won't find anyone here who believes that. Nor will you find anyone who believes that Israel will ever be held accountable. Diana Magni, Sky News in Bezeria, Lebanon.
Now, I want to focus on the hours leading up to Amal's death because the details here are important. On the morning of the attack, Amal and photojournalist Zainab Faraj posted a video on Instagram at 8:02 local time showing widespread destruction from Israeli airstrikes in Beit Leaf. Later that day, they traveled east by car, a journey which takes between 20 to 30 minutes. At around 2:30 local time in the afternoon, the car ahead of them was targeted by Israeli artillery. 2 people were killed. In the 20 minutes that followed, Amal contacted the Lebanese military and her family, giving them the location of the house where she was sheltering. 90 minutes later, Israeli warplanes could be heard overhead, and at 4:27, the house where Amal and Zainab were sheltering was hit. Her injured colleague was rescued, but emergency workers came under fire and withdrew. Amal's body was recovered shortly before midnight, more than 7 hours after the attack. Now, that's what we know. Here's what we don't know. Was the Israeli military aware that journalists were sheltering in that house? The IDF version of events is that one of the 2 cars posed what's described as an immediate threat and crossed a forward defense line in violation of a ceasefire. No explanation of the second strike. Well, let's speak now to the president of the Union of Lebanese Journalists, Elsie Mufarrej, who knew Amal. Elsie Mufarrej, thank you so much for joining us here on the program. We just gave a timeline of the events leading up to Amal's death. Tell us how you found out that the attack was happening yesterday.
Actually, I was informed minutes after the first strike that Amal and Zainab were there. We first contacted the ICRC because we had a previous commitment, a meeting with the ICRC that if one of our colleagues will be stuck in any area, we'll contact them to facilitate the evacuation of our colleague. And our contact with Amal, not my contact, but the contact of the family and the other person who were in contact with Amal, stopped around 4 p.m. As you mentioned, and 4:27 an airstrike hit the place where they were heading, Amal and Zainab, and the rescue team was not allowed from the IDF to come in and to evacuate them until 5 p.m. It's the first time. So they entered the area, they withdrawn Zainab, and then they were attacked by the Israeli side, as Lebanese Red Cross was attacked by the Israeli side. So they was obliged to leave the area and to stop the rescue or to stop the searching of Amal. They left around 6 p.m. or 6:15, and the green light to enter the area in another time was delayed till 8 p.m. So for around 4 hours after the attack, the rescue team was not allowed to approach the area where Amal was attacked. When they entered there, the rubber was a massive airstrike. They needed around 3 hours to take the body of Amal out. So nearly around 11 p.m., they informed us that Amal was killed.
You have known her for many, many years as a journalist, as a colleague, as a friend as well. Tell us about what she was like and what her work was like as well.
Amal was one of those special journalists. She was a courageous journalist, despite all the situation, all the dangerous situation, all the threats that she received. She insisted to continue her work and to work on the front line. She never left the South. She never left the coverage of the South. As many of the Southern Lebanese, they called her she's the South of. She's the voice of the South. For many young journalists too, Amal was like a second mother for them. She was a role model. She was following up on them on daily basis, and giving them information about the ground, telling them what they can do, where they can go. She was a beautiful person, and she was brave.
Forgive me for interrupting you. Her death is not unique in the sense that many journalists have been killed, and she's the fourth media worker killed in Lebanon by Israel since March. The Prime Minister of Lebanon has said that basically these constitute possible war crimes. He said they're not isolated incidents, but established methods which we condemn. I'd like your take on it. Do you think that this was a targeted attack, and what impact is it having on the many journalists in Lebanon who are already facing huge difficulties in reporting on what is a terrible humanitarian crisis?
For us, after our review, it's a targeted attack, is a deliberated attack, and on top of that, the delay of the rescue of the green light for the rescue team to enter and to rescue Amal was, like we can say, a cherry on top on this crime, on this war crime. So if we might have been able to save her in the few minutes after the attack, after that it will be worsen and worsen on her life. So we have to remember that Amal was threatened by the Israeli side on September 2024. She received a clear message that she will be killed if she continued to report from the South. What the effect on the journalist? Of course, we are sad. Of course, the situation is going worsen. But will not stop reporting, will not stop what we are doing, because it's our mission as journalists.
Elsie Mujfarej, President of the Union of Lebanese Journalists, thank you so much for sharing your views and also your experience of knowing Amal. Thank you. Well, I also want to now talk about this man, Ahmed Shihab-Eldin. He's a US Kuwaiti journalist who's been acquitted after 52 days in detention in Kuwait. Shihab-Eldin was detained after allegedly posting videos related to the war in Iran. The Committee to Protect Journalists has confirmed that Shihab-Eldin has been found innocent of the charges against him, which included spreading false information and harming national security. Well, with me now is Ashish Prashar, human rights activist and former advisor to the Middle Peace envoy. Thank you so much for joining us, Ashish. So we hear that Ahmed was acquitted today. What can you actually tell us about what was heard in court and what we know around the verdict?
Well, there's been a lot of secrecy about the whole process, right? You have to understand when he was arrested or picked up, he didn't actually know the charges. We assume, like the CPJ said, that these were the charges that he was going to be put up for. But it's also because this whole national security law that they passed was passed during the war with Iran at this point. So there was a new system in place, a new court system in place, specifically targeting media and journalists. And in this whole process, there's been very little transparency about what would happen, like how would they be prosecuted, how they would be, would they be able to have defense in court, how would their verdict be given, is there a right of appeal? Right, all of that was not really made clear to us. So while Ahmed went through the process, there was a lot of, would this come up? And then obviously, if you include the war, like if you think about this, if London was getting hit by ballistic missiles, would there be court appearances, right? Like, would there be general normal things happening every day? Would we ever see a court date? So what we knew coming into today was just that there'll be a verdict delivered on this. And obviously, there's been mass lobbying from a great legal team. But also like this massive public campaign to help get Ahmed out. And do I believe some of this has influenced the Kuwaitis? Of course, in their final decision. But there is a lot of relief that Ahmed is being let go. There was also many media workers from Kuwait itself who today have been sentenced to 3 years, 10 years for just doing their job. And, journalism is not a crime. And, they will be still left behind while, our friend, our colleague, someone we all admire, will, by the grace of God, be let go and is home with his family in Kuwait right now.
But so just to clarify on a few points, so even now, there's no clarity on what the charges were exactly.
Well, no. I mean, I'm sure when what happened in the courtroom will, be revealed exactly and what they've said he has been charged with. But there was no real clarity. It was around a threat to national security. When has journalism been a threat to national security? But it was about spreading false information. These are the guidelines for this new legal structure that was created during the war. They were picking up people who they deemed met that category. So we're assuming that he was going to be charged, could have been charged with those crimes. Obviously, he's been acquitted, found innocent. We know that he never committed a crime. We know that journalism is not a crime. And the issue here is that I think it's a broader issue across the Gulf in itself, where we've seen mass repression of media professionals, journalists, and citizens who, frankly, in some cases, have just sent photos to family members about what's going on.
But you mentioned the secrecy, because even a lot of his friends didn't know that he'd been jailed in Kuwait. He sort of disappeared from social media, which was strange, because he's very prominent there. So how are those close to Ahmed feeling today?
Well, look, what is unique about this is you really got to see the power of media because of him being working in media. Hundreds of journalists rallied globally, people close to him, people who have worked with him, but also have had their life changed by their interaction with him, whether it be Al Jazeera or the Huffington Post or the New York Times or the BBC, all rallied together to fight for his release, to write stories about it, to advocate it, to ask the State Department questions, to ask the White House, to ask other government officials this showed to me the care and love that people had to him. And obviously there's great relief amongst that collective community that loves Ahmed and loves what he has brought to their world. The interesting thing for me also is that what is also Ahmed has inadvertently created is almost like a union of journalism that wants to go fight for its profession, right? You just did a story on another journalist, Amal Khalil, who has been murdered by Israel, and I hope that the investigation, that the journalists and our industry go fight for people to be brought to justice for killing her. Now, and I say this because what Ahmed has also inadvertently done is shown the power of this industry and show how much love it has for the work it does and show how important it is to society. And I just sincerely hope it continues. And I hope professionals continue to fight for each other, especially in regions where they're being assassinated, killed, and detained.
And on a global scale.
On a global
we really
scale.
saw the global support for Ahmed. Well, he is now out, so that is great news. Ashish Prasha, former advisor to the Middle East Peace Envoy. Ashish, thank you so much. Well, as Israel continues to strike Lebanon, Donald Trump has issued a shoot-to-kill order for any Iranian boat laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. His latest threat came as Iran's Revolutionary Guard released a video said to show its forces seizing a ship. Our military analyst Sean Bell has more.
So it's day 55 of the Iran war. The American blockade remains in place and widespread reports that Iran is attacking shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. With the ceasefire in place, it feels like both sides are locked and loaded, ready for more military action. So what are the options available to President Trump? Well, in the last 24 hours, Iran has attacked 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz, 2 of which it has managed to seize. This appears to be in direct response to American attacks on Iranian vessels. So 6 days ago, Iran tried to run American blockade there with 4 vessels, one of which got through, was tracked and eventually was seized. We've also had reports overnight of America interdicting another vessel, this time off in the Indian Ocean, and this appears to be a sanctioned vessel carrying Iranian oil. But this is all a tit for tat. It's all about who controls the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump has also issued a shoot-to-kill order for any boats that appear to be laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz, and also claimed that American warships are actually doing minesweeping activities in the Straits now, although none of that has been verified. Meanwhile, the Iranian authorities have been pretty consistent. If America abandons the blockade, it is prepared to restart talks. So although the ceasefire has been extended, there's no deadline put if talks don't resume before a certain date. That's highly unusual. President Trump has always put deadlines in place. So why has he not done that this time? Probably it reflects the lack of good options facing President Trump.
Let's get more on this now with our US correspondent, James Matthews. James, what has the president had to say about all of this?
Hi, Barbara. Yeah, well, he's still talking, actually, inside the Oval Office. I'll bring you the highlights of what he's had to say over the past 15, 20 minutes, speaking about Iran, the Strait of Hormuz specifically. He said it would open when they make a deal or something else happens. He said that they've been speaking to the Iranians, but they are in turmoil. They don't know who their leader is. He insisted, despite some of the pictures we've just been shown by Sean, we have total control of the strait. Talked about taking out the wise guy boats, as he calls them, a reference to the speedboats that the IRGC have been using to seize ships. He insisted that Iran wasn't doing business due to the blockade, and that was pretty much the substance of what he had to say on Iran. I should tell you he was asked about Prince Harry, who has said today that he would like to see Donald Trump do more to end the war in Ukraine. His answer to that, the president, was, please give him my regards. I know one thing he said, Prince Harry isn't speaking for the UK. I think I'm speaking for the UK more than Prince Harry, but I appreciate his advice. Let's listen, Barbara, to some of what he had to say in the past 10 minutes.
We have total control of the strait. And the fact that it slows, you know, they would have opened it up 3 days ago. They came to us and they said, we will agree to open the strait. And all my people were happy. Everybody was happy except me. I said, wait a minute, if we open the strait, that means they're going to make $500 million a day. I don't want them to make $500 million a day until they settle this thing. So I'm the one that kept it closed. We have total control of it. And it'll open when they make a deal or something else happens that's very positive.
There you go, Barbara, still talking tough, despite the clear fact that this stalemate doesn't flatter Donald Trump. On Truth Social, he spoke about a shoot-to-kill policy when it came to boats in the strait. Let me read it to you, this post earlier today, Barbara. I have ordered the United States Navy to shoot and kill any boat, small boats, though they may be. Their naval ships are all 159 of them at the bottom of the sea. That is putting mines in the waters of the Strait of Hormuz. There is to be no hesitation. Additionally, our minesweepers are clearing the strait right now. I am hereby ordering that activity to continue, but at a tripled up level. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So there you go, that's Donald Trump on social media wars, in which the Iranians are engaging fully of course. After that news conference, Barbara, he will be attending to Israel-Lebanon talks at the ambassador level. They were due to take place in the State Department. They've been shifted across town to the White House, and both ambassadors will be greeted by the president, who's clearly invested in that particular matter, an extension to the 10-day ceasefire being sought there as a priority.
Absolutely. James Matthews with the latest there from Washington. James, as always, thank you. You're watching The World with me, Barbara Serra. Still to come, the UK and France sign a migration deal that would see riot police on French beaches to help tackle small boat crossings.
With respect, Minister, answer the question. It's you. Hello and welcome. I'm Cathy Newman. So could the outcome of these elections be manipulated? New me, new show, new furniture. Hard news needs a hard chair. I feel like I'm in therapy. Oh, there's room for two on this one. Do you think people will take me seriously with my feet up?
Sorry, madam, but we're closing now.
Oh, sorry. Sofa sorted. Let's get this show on the road.
I urge you not to look away. If Hamas hands the hostages over, they will end this conflict. The world has been watching. Good to see you again. How are you? Did she say how he was?
The conditions are awful.
The jets were ordered to come back.
Historic day here today. How will you respond if India does launch airstrikes?
They'll be allowed to war.
I'm just going to put some body armor on. I'm Yalda Hakim.
The best thing about being a Sky News journalist...
Hi, darling.
Beth Rigby, Sky News.
...is being a Sky News journalist. You said to people, I'm not coming back for more, but you have come back for more. Well, let's kick off and make a statement. What can our Prime Minister say to you to not impose tariffs? He's coming out! What more do you need?
We're trying to see as much as we can.
We're in an area that's just been reclaimed. Mr. Zuma, Sky News.
People are directly protesting.
The whole neighborhood is rallied around her. It's been impenetrable to journalists over the last 2 years of war in Sudan. I've been waiting for this for 2 years. It doesn't feel like a big homecoming. It was never going to be pretty. War isn't pretty.
Here in the UK, riot police are set to be deployed as Britain and France agree new small boats deal. They'll be sent to French beaches to break up groups of migrants, while payments by the UK to France will be directly linked to the success in reducing crossings. Our Europe correspondent Alistair Bunkle has more details.
We don't have any food, anything. We just try to get food there. So it's difficult. UK have more options for immigrants, that's why.
That was Hassan, an Eritrean hoping to make it from this beach across to the UK within the next month or two. But the British government today has signed a new deal to try and prevent people like Hassan from making that journey.
A big chunk of the new money that we have promised is in a flexible fund where I've been very clear we will fund only the things that we believe are going to work in order to disrupt and drive down the number of boat crossings. So the totality of this package is a huge improvement on what's gone before. It's a landmark deal and I'm very pleased to be able to sign it today.
The deal is worth £662 million over 3 years. That money will go to providing 50 more riot police to patrol the beaches, and new surveillance and drone technology to monitor the coastline. But it comes with a condition. £100 million of it could be withdrawn after a year if the British government doesn't think that the French are making enough progress.
People will still make the journey, you think?
Of course. They try, but it will be more difficult when we compare to the past days.
This is one of the main camps. We're about, I don't know, a mile or two inland, and you can kind of see the infrastructure. There's lots of portaloos here. The people in yellow high-vis jackets are charities here to hand out food. Some of those orange life vests waiting for the next moment when the winds die down and people can try and make that crossing. And when they do, they'll go from here, they'll walk towards the beaches in the middle of the night, under darkness, and then try and cross into the UK.
These deterrence policies are just putting more people at risk and increasing the risk, and we're leaving people into the hands of everything that can happen at the border, which is smuggling, trafficking. It's not actually decreasing the crossings.
Interesting, talking to some of the charities here, they just don't think that these policies work or will work because they say that most people here have an option. One is to remain in their home countries where they face the risk of torture or imprisonment or death. The other alternative is to come here where, yeah, sure, they face the risk of French riot police, treatment by smugglers, and of course the real risks of trying to cross the English Channel. But by comparison, the risks they face here aren't as bad as the risks they face back home. And so that is why people, in their opinion, will still keep coming to northern France to try and make that trip across to the UK.
Somalia to Yemen, dangerous. Yemen to Sudan, dangerous. Libya to Araba, dangerous. Here on UK, dangerous.
So far this year, around 6,000 migrants have made it across the Channel to the UK. That's actually 36% fewer than this time last year. But the summer months which are coming are when, of course, the winds are calmer and the sea is less rough. And so the next few months will provide an immediate test for this new deal.
You're watching The World. Coming up next, we'll speak to the son of jailed Palestinian leader Marwan Barghouti.
What's the best thing about being a Sky News presenter? Perfect. Let's bring you some breaking news. Being a Sky News presenter. I began by asking...
Thank you so much.
...trusting us to tell her story. The battle for number 10. Sky News has been given exclusive access. Let me give you a sneak peek. It was the day those present would never forget. Why did you decide to open up and tell your story?
Turn our attention to Israel, and the family of the most prominent Palestinian prisoner, Marwan Barghouti, says that he has been subjected to physical violence behind bars in Israel. The 66-year-old was convicted by an Israeli court of planning deadly attacks against Israeli civilians and is currently serving 5 life sentences plus 40 years. He was arrested exactly 24 years ago at the height of the Second Palestinian Intifada. Well, joining us now is Marwan's son, Arab Barghouti. Arab, thank you so much for being with us on the program. So 24 years of your father's imprisonment, and we're hearing from his lawyers that they feel he's in immediate danger in the prisons right now. Tell us what your understanding is his physical condition.
So the lawyer saw him on April 12th, which is 10 days ago. And he reported that my father was assaulted 3 different times only in the prior 3 weeks that he saw him in. March 24th in Megiddo prison where he was in solitary confinement. They put him on the ground and they had a dog come and to start kicking him with his paws. The second day, he was moved from Megiddo to Ganot prison, and on the way, they assaulted him again. And then on April 8th, they assaulted him inside Ganot prison, which caused him, to bleed for 2 hours, asking for medical treatment, and he didn't get any. And it's worth mentioning that we have 10 different assault cases against my father only in the 2.5 years past.
When did you last see him, and how are you managing to get information out of prison?
The only way to get information is through the lawyer. I haven't been able to see him in 4 years. My mother was the last one out of the family to see him, which is a little bit more than 3.5 years ago. And unfortunately, this comes into under the context of the whole of the collective punishment policy of the Israeli government against the Palestinian detainees. And you're talking about almost 10,000 Palestinian detainees that haven't been able to see their family and loved ones since October 7th.
Yeah, and I think we can see pictures there of Arab and your brother with your father there. Now, about a year ago, a video went viral of the National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, the Israeli National Security Minister, taunting your father in prison. Let's take a look at the video.
אתם לא תנצחו אותנו. מי שיתעסק עם עם ישראל, מי שירצח לנו ילדים, מי שירצח לנו נשים, אנחנו נמחק אותו. אתם צריכים לדעת את זה לאורך כל ההיסטוריה.
What was your reaction to seeing that?
I mean, shocked and appalled. At the end of the day, he's a public figure, of course, but I'm his son. I haven't been able to hug my father in 24 years. I haven't been able to see him in years, and seeing him being taunted, threatened, abused by no one other than the fascist Ben-Gvir is something heavy to take on. And for the life of me, I have no idea what the Western governments and Western leaders are waiting for. Here is a man who's calling for the two-state solution, calling for peace, calling for coexistence, getting humiliated in front of the whole world, while someone who's calling for the death of Palestinians, death of the idea of Palestinian state is getting nothing, no consequences.
Now, relating to that video, which of course went viral, just to say the Israeli prison service denied allegations of abuse and mistreatment. They rejected claims the footage reflected unlawful conduct. That's what they say. But obviously, Israel does see your father as a convicted criminal. He was found guilty of multiple terrorism-related offenses, 5 counts of murder, none directly by him, but he was accused of authorizing and directing attacks. But interestingly, in various prisoner swaps, Israel has released Palestinian leaders who were convicted of similar things, but never your father, though there are reports of there being pressure for your father to be released. Why do you think they are reluctant to release him?
because of the very fact that he believes in coexistence and the two-state solution and political settlement. But I need to go back because you said convicted. We need to say convicted by whom? By the Israeli court. That I don't believe in, we don't recognize, my father didn't recognize the court or its
Some international bodies did say part of the trial was flawed, although it's fair to say that none of them declared he was innocent. They said the trial was flawed.
Because they were not allowed to go in depth. He didn't have a defense because he didn't agree to the jurisdiction of the Israeli government of putting someone like him, a parliament member, a Palestinian leader, in prison in the first place. And this is a very important point that doesn't get talked about in the media. When I speak to Western media, unfortunately, they make it as a given, as if he's convicted by, you know,
in fairness, from the start, though, he had a lot of support, including from Nelson Mandela and many other figures, you know, more recently as well. So there's always been support for him. I suppose the point I'd like to make is the Israelis obviously are reluctant to release him. You mentioned because he believes in a two-state solution. A lot of people point to him as the man who can unify the Palestinian cause, you know, Fatah, Hamas, various other groups. Do you agree with that? And if so, why? Why do you think he would be the man that would be able to do that?
Because it's more than slogans. He's not just a unifying figure. We're not saying that as a slogan. He did take action on the ground. If you go back to the prisoners' document, which is the most significant Palestinian document because it was signed by all Palestinian factions, and it's the only document that was signed by all Palestinian factions until today. And it stated a clear roadmap towards a political vision that all Palestinians can agree on, and all Palestinian factions signed on that. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can build on that, which stated that, you know, resistance should be limited to within the 67 borders, because my father has always been very consistent that he bases all his work on international law as someone who supports international law.
Arab Barghouti, son of Marwan Barghouti. Arab, thank you so much for sharing your views and thoughts on your father. Thank you. This is The World with me, Barbara Serra. Coming up next, we're going to speak to a senior official after an inquiry found hundreds of people died in post-election violence in Tanzania last year.
With respect, Minister, answer the question. It's you. Hello and welcome, I'm Cathy Newman. So could the outcome of these elections be manipulated? New me, new show, new furniture. Hard news needs a hard chair. I feel like I'm in therapy. Oh, there's room for two on this one. Do you think people will take me seriously with my feet up?
Sorry, madam, but we're closing now.
Oh, sorry. Sofa sorted, let's get this show on the road.
I'm Stephen Murphy, and I'm Sky's Ireland correspondent based here in Dublin.
All alcohol products, not just wine, will have labels warning of liver disease and the link to fatal cancers.
Is it crazy? It's an industry worth around €14 billion a year. That's why Italy sees this Irish plan as such a threat.
It's always instructive and occasionally entertaining to hear what Donald Trump has to say on the issue of Brexit.
She's got her own way of doing it, that's okay.
The job takes me to every corner of this island.
The rioting stemmed from a horrific daytime stabbing attack at a primary school in the city centre.
The scale of the rioting and the destruction it caused is pretty much unprecedented here in Dublin.
Jerry, any comment on the judge's decision? Do you feel vindicated, Jerry? This is the end, the somewhat chaotic end, of a 52-day trial.
Micheál Martin could be set to head back to government with the Taoiseach Simon Harris.
Are you confident that you can now return as Taoiseach?
I'm cautiously optimistic and excited.
A mystery press conference hastily called. Leo Varadkar strode out and didn't disappoint.
I am resigning as President and Leader of Fine Gael effective today.
The people here sometimes feel they're somewhat neglected by the Irish government, to the extent that this place is sometimes known as the Forgotten County.
The waters of Ireland and Britain should be home to great white sharks, but none have ever been found.
If there are great white sharks in this area, there's no reason they wouldn't come here to feed. It's basically a buffet on a beach. This could be not only a record-breaking storm, but potentially the most dangerous storm ever to hit Ireland. Sky News, get the full story first.
I urge you not to look away. If Hamas hands the hostages over, they will end this conflict. The world has been watching. Good to see you again. How are you? Did she say how he was?
The conditions are awful.
The jets were ordered to come back.
Historic day here today. How will you respond if India does launch airstrikes?
They will be allowed to war.
I'm just going to put some body armor on. I'm Yalda Hakim.
The best thing about being a Sky News journalist... My darling.
Beth Rigby, Sky News.
...is being a Sky News journalist. You said to people, I'm not coming back for more, but you have come back for more. Well, let's kick off and make a statement. What can our Prime Minister say to you to not impose tariffs? He's coming out! What more do you need?
Let's turn our attention to Tanzania now. Violence erupted in the East African country last October after much criticized elections. Thousands of young people took to the streets, accusing the government of silencing the opposition. And they had a point. The main opposition leader was imprisoned for treason, and another presidential candidate was barred from running. Today, an inquiry found that more than 500 people died of what's described as unnatural causes in that post-election violence. Of those, 197 people were found to have been shot dead. More than 2,000 people were also injured in the unrest. But here's the thing, there was no conclusion about who ordered the crackdown. Well, I'm joined now by Ambassador Lazaro Nyalandu, who is a senior advisor to Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us here on the program. So a strange inquiry, perhaps. Thank you for joining us. Strange inquiry where it's not really clear who is responsible. Who do you think is responsible?
First and foremost, the violence happened on that eventful day of October 29. Everybody in Tanzania, the president of Tanzania, deeply is troubled and saddened for the events that took a loss of life in our people. As you may have heard, this event started, it was absolutely pre-planned, it was pre-organized, and when events were happening, a lot of people who were planning to orchestrate this one were the members of opposition, the members of opposition who had trained, for example, 500 young people were put in camps, were trained. We have evidence of people using guns.
So forgive me for jumping in. It's just that time is limited. I understand that you're giving your framing of what led up to it, but I suppose the ultimate question is more than 500 people were killed. Was the government responsible for their death?
Government was not responsible for the death of protesters. Government went to protect everyone. It was a day that, as events were happening, members of the government forces, the police,
but then,
for
if
example,
the government wasn't, sir, who shot those people? Because more than 200 or around 200 were shot. So who was responsible for shooting them and on whose orders?
We do have evidence whereby protesters were having guns, had bombs, and some of them had trained in camps. Some of the evidence we have of the training happening in social media, how to create bombs, how to shoot, how to be tactical. And because this was premeditated, this was pre-planned, the government moved to rescue the day. And people need to understand it was a very difficult day and sad day for every Tanzanian.
You may call it rescuing the day, but I go back to my question. Was the government responsible, even by ordering security forces to do so, for the shooting and killing of around 500 protesters?
The government was not responsible for ordering the shooting of anyone.
Then why were all those people killed? Who ordered it?
Okay, so who marched, for example, to torch the buildings, to go and put buildings in fire, some of them with people. So death happened. That's why the Commission of Inquiry came out today, and the president had made sure she's going to establish a legal body that is going to actually investigate if there is anyone, whether in government or in private civil society or opposition involved, they will be persecuted to the full length of law.
Sir, you said you're going to investigate. Let me just tell you something that the main opposition party has said. They've called this report a cover-up, an attempt to whitewash the regime's crimes. They said an inquiry cannot be independent or partial in a situation where the government is actually the primary suspect in being investigated. Is this whole commission, this whole inquiry a whitewash?
The commission is led by one of the most notable international UN Chief Justice of Tanzania, Judge Chande. He has been, and he is still, a UN prosecutor with enormous CV. Everybody on the commission, individuals involved, are impeachable in character, in experience. They went through to do a thorough work, and I wanted to mention this. We looked at what they did. For example, the commission went to over 1,323 families of those who were dead or missing, to interview and to listen to their grief. They went through and had 4,900 questionnaires across the country. It was transparent, it was open, it was involving everyone, including members of opposition who, for example, you mentioned Chadema, they refused to participate. When, for example, the Commonwealth Special Envoy, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, former president of Malawi, came, they participated, so are many other people. So President Samia's government is about transparency, is about finding the truth. And today's report was about finding the truth, exactly what happened, who was responsible, and how do we make sure this country moves from where we are, never to have this situation again. Today, the president said never again for our country to ever witness.
Let's speak about the president's victory, sir, because her election win was 98%, widely contested, said to have happened in a climate of fear. The African Union's observer mission Senate concluded the election did not comply with democratic standards. They mentioned issues like ballot stuffing, lack of observers, opposition exclusion. Human Rights Watch as well warned that there was a repression within the election. I mean, you speak of transparency, but how can you have transparency with a government whose very election is so widely contested?
Number one, we had a very free and fair election. One, every opposition party that wanted to participate, that was ready to field in candidates, did participate. The main opposition party, Chadema, refused to join in the election, refused to field in any candidate, refused to participate. They were not there. They are the main opposition. So if majority...
Well, because a lot of the opposition leaders were barred from running or were actually jailed.
That is actually not factual. We have the main opposition guy, Tundu Lissu, who is in jail, and that is a separate issue. It's a judicial issue, completely separate from this particular discussion. The election in Tanzania did see participation. It was until the violence began that really situation that ended up seeing the loss of life happened. And one more thing I wanted to say before you go. If you had an election in England and one party refuses to participate, everybody going, you should expect the numbers that are sweet, that are beautiful, like 99%, because they did not.
Sir, I'm so sorry. We're going to have to leave it there. We have time pressures. Ambassador Lazaro Nyalundu, a senior advisor to the president. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is it for tonight. We're going to be back on Monday. The Wrap is coming up next with Anna Botting. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.